All right, today's lesson is about translating. So one of the most important skills you can learn when you're in mathematics is how to read a word problem and then transfer it into some sort of math, symbols, letters, numbers, so you can solve it. So today's practice is uh, changing those key words into mathematical phrases so we can do something with them. All right, so let's talk about the first one. The first one is called, we're going to work with is addition. So some of the key words in addition, one of them is sum. Okay, that is in mathematics, that sum means you're always adding. So again, since we only can add two numbers at a time, when you see the word sum, usually it's two things. Two things are being the sum of means we're adding the two things together. So in almost all, I believe all the examples we have where it says the sum of, it's always going to be two things. So we have sum, we have total. Okay, total, when you total something, you add them all up. If you were adding all your bills together, that you would be getting a total of all your bills. So when you total something, you add it. Plus, well, that's kind of self-explanatory. Plus, when you do 2 plus 4, we know we need to add. Next one is increased by. When you do increased by means you're adding. So if I had $5 and I increased it by $2, I would have $7. I would add those two together. And then the last is more than. 5 more than 2. 5 more than 2 would be 5 plus 2. The confusing part of that is, again, we don't speak like that, but that's one of the toughies. Because we don't normally talk like that. We usually will say, hey, I don't say I have 5 more than $20 in my pocket, which means I have $25. No one talks like that, but in mathematics we do use that word more than, so we'll have to, when we get to it, we'll deal with it. All right, subtraction. All right, the key word in subtraction is difference. Okay, when you do difference, again, when you do, just like in sum, difference, you're going to subtract two numbers. In mathematics, we always subtract two numbers. We can keep subtracting, but we have to start off with two numbers first. And then we can just keep subtracting another number, and then subtracting another number, but we always are working with two numbers at a time. Okay? So again, when you say the difference of, that means you have two numbers. So if I said the difference of 4 and 2, you notice I didn't say the word minus at any time. I didn't say subtract at any time. I just said the difference of 4 and 2, which means 4 minus 2. Okay, so that's what they mean by difference. And again, minus, that's an easy one. 4 minus 2, we know we need to subtract. Decreased by, that's a key one. 4 decreased by 2. 4 decreased by 2. No, we don't need to subtract. Now, less than and subtracted from are two toughies because the way you say them and the way you write them are swapped. And what I mean by that is if I said 2, if I say 2 less than 4, 2 less than 4, that means I started off with 4, and I have 2 less than that. And again, we don't talk like that. So 2 less than 4. So 2 is 2 less than 4. I had 4 and I took away 2. That's a tough one. That is one that over the years the students still get confused about because it's written in reverse order. It's just a matter of practice. Subtracted by. 4 subtracted by 2. 4 subtracted by. Okay, subtracted, sorry, I meant to put from here, not by. Subtracted from. Okay, that 4 subtracted, or 2 subtracted from 4, that's still 4 minus 2. Okay, so it's backwards. It's kind of reversed. We call that a turnaround phrase, which we'll talk about in a little bit. All right, let's go to multiplication. Times. Okay, that's kind of the one we used to use when you were little. 4 times 2, 2 times 7. Okay, so you used times when you were little. Then you were introduced to the word product. Okay, again, when we do product, we multiply two things. So so if I said, what's the product of 4 and 5, you know you need to multiply 4 and 5. Okay, product of. Don't usually use of very often. Sometimes we'll use it when we do percentages, like what's 40% of, $100 or something like that. Then you would use a multiplication to get that answer. But it is considered multiplication. All right, we have the word twice. That means 2 times. Okay, twice means 2 times. Double something. That's also 2 times. Or triple something. We have a triple scoop of ice cream. That means you have 3. Triple patty at Wendy's has 3 burgers. A Wendy's triple will give you 3 burgers. Quotient. That's the key word. Quotient. For division. Again, the quotient of, and they'll mention 2 numbers. So remember, the keywords sum, difference, product, and quotient all require 2 numbers, or a letter and a number, or something. You need 2 of something. Okay, quotient divided by, that's one you probably heard of. Taking half of something is dividing it by 2, or a third, okay, would be dividing it by 3. Okay, so those are keywords. Usually we use the quotient or divided by when we're doing division now. All right, so the next one we have are called parenthesis phrases and turnaround phrases. So the next set are called parenthesis phrases. I'll write it down and then we'll discuss it. Okay, so the first one is times the sum of. Okay, this comes into play when you're using the distributive property. So for instance, let me write over here. Okay, here's an example of 3 times the sum of, and again, I don't have to say the word plus, I don't have to say added to or anything. Sum means addition. So the sum of, so this would be considered 3 times the sum of a number and 4. That's how you would read that. Okay. We also do that with subtraction as well. So then we would use the difference. So this would be, let's say, 4 times the difference of x and 2. That would be an example of that. 4 times the difference, which is subtraction, of x and 2. That's how you would say that. Okay, the last 2 things, I kind of alluded to this at the beginning. This less than and subtracted from. This is the turnaround phrases. Okay, so less than and subtracted from are turnaround phrases, because if I say, let's say I say 5 less than $20, what are you going to do? If you had 5 less than $20 in your pocket, in your brain you're going to do 20 minus 5, and that's going to give you 15. So notice that when you read it, the 5 comes before the 20, but when you do the subtraction, it's reversed or turned around. That's why we call it the turnaround phrases. Okay, subtracted from, the same idea. If I say 5 subtracted from 20, you would do 20 minus 5. 5 subtracted from 20, meaning you're starting at the 20 and you're taking 5 away from it. Okay. All right, so those are the turnaround phrases. All right, so let's keep going. Let's do some examples. Okay, so the first one is, again, for the sake of not going crazy here, let's make n equal to a number. Okay, so every time we read the word number, we're going to use the letter n instead of x. We'll just use the letter n for number. All right, so as we read these, the key is to pick out keywords. All right, that's how you do these. All right, so first of all, remember when I said before, when you see that word product, okay, what you're going to look for is the and. Okay, as soon as you find the and, because we're talking about product, in place of the and, you're going to put a time symbol because it's product. All right, so again, we said we would change a number to n. So this is really n times 3. And the way we write that in algebra is we write 3n. 3 times n. Anytime a number is in front of a letter, it's multiplication. 3n is 3 times n. All right, so let's do the next one, the difference. So we see the word difference, so we find the and, but in place of the and, we put a minus sign because we're talking about difference. So the difference between a number and 10. So again, when we see the word a number, we're going to put an n in its place. So how do you write the difference between a n and 10? Well, I already have the minus sign there, so I literally just have to write what I just substituted. And there you go. Difference between a number and 10 is n minus 10. Okay, quotient. Okay, so we see the word quotient. So we find the word and we replace it with a division symbol. And again, I'm going to go like that, make a slash out of it. I don't like to use the division symbol anymore because in algebra we very rarely use the division symbol. We use like a big fraction line, like that guy right there. Okay, we don't use the dot with the 2 dots with a line. We don't use that anymore. We don't use this anymore. All right, so the quotient of a number, so that's n. So a quotient of a number and -5. There you go. I'm done. N divided by -5. That's the answer to that problem. Okay, 4 subtracted from a number. So this is one of those turnaround phrases. 4 subtracted from a number. And if you get stuck, remember that you think of money. 4 subtracted from $20. 4 subtracted from $20 is 20 minus 4. So these are the reverse. Okay, so these are reversed. So you do n minus 4. Okay, these are reverse ones. Turnaround phrases is what I was writing here. Okay. All right, the sum of twice a number and 7. So I have the word sum. I find the word and change it to a plus sign because of the word sum. Okay, twice a number. Twice a number means 2 times, so twice a number, let's do that, twice times n plus 7. There you go, 2n plus 7. And there's my answer. Okay. The product of a number and 10 increased by 1. So I've got a couple things to do here. So first of all, I'm going to do the product. So the product, find the word and change it to a time symbol. And number is n. So a product of n times 10. So I'm going to put 10n. Now it says increase by. So if I go up here to increase by, that means addition. So I'm going to add 1 to it. And I'm done. All right. Okay. Side 2. Mine's in 2 pages, but so it wouldn't soak through. All right, so 4 less than a number squared. So that I kind of threw this in a little bit, but again, 4 less than a number squared. As soon as you see this word less than, these guys go in the opposite order. And then a number is n. Squared means it's a little teeny exponent of 2. So 4 less than n squared. Well, less than means I swap them. So this would be n squared minus 4. Okay. Twice a number. So 2 numbers n divided by 5. 2n divided by 5. Done. Okay, now we're entering into equations. So the only thing equations do is they add the word is, which is equal sign. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to do this. Okay, so is means I kind of redundant here, but is equals the equal sign. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So every time we see is, we're going to write equal sign. Now be careful, we get down to inequalities, that's not necessarily true. But right now, anywhere we see is, that's where our equal sign is going. So we got twice, the sum of twice a number. Okay, so 2n, twice a number. Okay, the sum, again, we see that word sum. So where we see that word and, we're going to put a plus sign. All right, so the sum of twice a number and 10 is 36. And then we would go from there. So it's really important that you're able to go and take something that's in words and change it into symbols, because I can't solve this, but I can solve this once I learn how to solve equations. 3 times the difference of a number and 7 is 18. Okay, so this is a special case where we're using those parentheses. These are a parenthesis phrase. Okay, so first of all, let's decipher what difference of a number and 7 is. Okay, so we see the word difference. So we're going to look for the word and put a subtraction symbol. So let's do that first. Okay, so we have the difference of a number and 7. So let's do that first. 3 times that means I'm going to put parentheses around it and put a 3 on the outside. 3 times the difference of is 18. And that's what that looks like. Okay. Number 11. 4 times a number divided by 8 is 3. So I know that's equal sign. A number, that's the n. Divided by, that's easy. All right, so 4 times a number would be 4n. So 4n divided by 8 is 3. That's how that would work. Okay. Number 12, 5 times the sum of. Okay, so this is a parenthesis deal. Okay, so first of all, let's do sum. See sum, look for the and we're going to put a plus sign. Okay, the sum of a number, okay, that's an n, right? So let's put an n there. Okay, so the sum of a number and 6, so n plus 6, 5 times that, looks like that, is 48. So when you see this 5 times the sum or difference of, go and do the difference and sum stuff first, and then throw the 5 or the number, whatever the multiplier is in the front. And that's how I would tackle it myself. Okay, so 13 is getting a little wordy. 1/2 of a number is 8 less than the number itself. So I'm using n, but I'm putting it in 2 spots. Okay, so half, so that's half of a number is, okay, so right now I have half a number is. Okay, 8 less than a number itself. So 8 less than, that's a turnaround one. Okay, so we're turning it around. And then here's that again. So 1/2 of a number is 8 less than the number itself. So it would be like that. Remember, it gets swapped. So the 8 is listed last. These get swapped. Again, only do that if you get the less than and or the subtracted froms. Those are the only time you're going to swap those. Okay, the product of a number and 3. All right, so let's tackle that first. The product of a number and 3. So that's a plus, time symbol, sorry, time symbol. The product of a number and 3 is the same as, so there's my equal sign, the sum of that number and 6. So I got 2 of these. So I got a sum, and then this one is a plus sign. All right, because I said sum. All right, so the product of a number and 3, the product of a number and 3 is the same as, so that's equal sign, a sum of that number and 6. Looks like that. Okay. All right, 15 decreased by the quotient of a number and 3 is 20. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Okay, 15 decreased by. 15 decreased by. So that I'm taking 15 out and I'm taking away, I'm subtracting the quotient of a number and 3. So first thing I'm going to do is hit this quotient. change that and to a division symbol. Okay, so 15 is being decreased by the quotient of a number and 3 is, because that's equal sign, 20. And there we go. I'm done with that. Okay, last one. 4 less than the product of a number and 8 is 8 more than that number. Whew! Okay, so here's the equal sign. We'll tackle that. That's an easy one. Is. Okay. We've got 4 less than the product. All right, so I see product. I find the word and I put a times symbol. Okay, this one's a tough one because this is all of what we practiced all in one problem. 4 less than, okay, so that's a reverse one. So the product of a number and 7, that's an n. Okay, so 7n, the product of a number and 7n, 4 less than that, so I have to decrease that by 4, is 8 more than the number. Now again, if you put 8 plus n or n plus 8, either one's correct because when you add, you can add in any order. It doesn't matter. Subtract, you can't reverse them. 5 minus 2 is not the same thing as 2 minus 5. One's a positive number, one's a negative number. But adding, you can add in any order. All right, so last thing we got to talk about is inequalities. This goes fairly quickly. This is a just deciphering when to use inequalities. And the key is you're using the words less than, greater than, but note it'll say is less than, which is a big difference than, see where this says less than, but it doesn't say is less than, then you have to use inequalities. Okay, so this is technically is less than if you want to think about it. Okay, so this is less than goes that way. Okay, again, the easiest way to remember that is less than. That means the smaller number is on the left. Less than or equal to is a combination between the less than symbol and the equal sign. So you get half and half. The greater than, again, when you're reading, you always read math from left to right. Greater than, that means the bigger opening is on the left, where here it was the smaller was on the left. Now the bigger one is facing the left number. And then greater than or equal to. So all you have to do is figure out by reading this whether or not you're using one of these 4 symbols. Okay, and that's what the rest of this is. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. The first several are easy because they're just literally writing what this is. So a number is less than negative 10. So a number is less than negative 10. So those types are kind of easy because you're literally writing the symbol exactly the way you read it. A number is less than or equal to 8. Okay, a number is greater than or equal to negative 4. A number, okay, so this is where it gets a little tricky. A number is at most 45. So again, if you get stuck, think about money. If a number is at most $45, how much money do you have? At most 45. That means you can't have 46, you can't have 47, you can't have 50, you can't have 100. You have to have 45 or less, right? So this is 45 or less. That's what that at most means. Okay, so 45 or less. So you can have 45 equal to 45 or less than. Okay, a speed limit of 55 miles per hour means a limit means that's the most you're supposed to be going is 55. So that means your speed is less than or equal to 55. You can go all the way up to 55, but you're not supposed to go more than that. A number is at least 16. So if you're at least 16 years old, you're 16 or older, right? So a number is at least 16. So in this case, n is greater than or equal to 16. You're 16 or bigger here. A number is no less than 10. That means 10 or more. Okay? No less than. That means 10 or more. So that number is greater than or equal to 10. A number is no more than 26. That means you're 26 or less. So you want to write n is less than or equal to 26. A maximum number is 25. So that means you're 25 or less. Okay. A minimum number of 5. So that means, for instance, you could only enter into some place if you only had a group of 5 or more. Okay, if you were coming in as a couple, they wouldn't let you in. All right, so you have to have a minimum number of 5. So you have to have 5 or more people. Okay, so that's n is greater than or equal to 5. And that's how this works. So you'll be practicing that on the assignment, and good luck with that. And again, you have the keys for everything, so just check it out when you get a chance. Thanks.